Appreciate it. All right, we are going to bring up our next panel led by Councilmember Chuck Hope from the City of Oak Ridge. If you notice my pen, it says open for business. Thank you, Chuck, for providing one. If you're nice enough to Chuck, you might be able to order one in the future. But it shows communities like Oak Ridge what they're trying to do to make sure that a lot of developers know and understand that they're really trying to attract nuclear businesses to their community, and the things that they're doing there are some unbelievable initiatives. I think when you talk to Chuck, you could talk about zoning and permitting and other types of things that they're trying to do to make it easier from the state and local government side to be able to locate in his community. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Chuck.
All right, so part of the process we have done over the last 4 of the forums is to give a progress report on our communities. What I thought I'd do is let Sandra and Sean go and let's see what they've got, and we get back. There he is. All right, come on. We'll see if we can do that. If you could just maybe give a few minutes to report each of us, and then we can go into some of the questions that have been brought for us. So Sandra, we'll start with you. If you'd like to start, give us a progress report for what we're doing in Paducah.
Okay, great. There is a PowerPoint. I think that, okay, thank you. And I guess someone else is going to click it for me?
Sure.
Okay. You do that, Chuck?
Yeah. It's technology.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you all today from Paducah, Kentucky. I'm going to say I thought we were the first new nuclear conference in 2023, but after listening to Mayor Gary, I think we were second, so I apologize to Idaho Falls. But in our heart, we were the first one. I'll just say that because it was the first one we had attended. So thank you all for hosting that in 2023, and we've come a long way since then. In Paducah. That was 2 years ago. I was on this stage. It looks like I might have had on this same jacket. At that time, we had applied for a grant with the Department of Energy to do a reindustrialization study of our site. It announced in 2013 they would cease operation, and actually closed in 2014, ceased production. And so we'd been building since then. In 2023, we were awarded the grant after this event had happened later in that summer. So since then, we've been really hard at work to get ready. So we're open. And I can say we are now open for business. I meant to bring that sign like what you'd had before. Just a little bit about the Paducah Chamber. We received that grant. We are the regional advocacy organization for West Kentucky. We're a typical chamber. We do small business. We do lots of events, but we are really known mostly for our advocacy. This is us on the Capitol steps of D.C. We take about 75 people every fall for a fly-in, and also go to Washington, to Frankfurt, to our state capital. This is us. We have small groups that go to. We have a permanent wall display at the Forstall building that was offered us a few years ago, and we're really proud of it. We were just there recently seeing it. And then again, we received the grant to start the study. I just want to say Paducah is open for business. These are some of our organizations. This is our downtown. You can see our river through the opening of the flood wall there. We're all here, and there's a big gate open now on our flood wall because of all the flooding. But we're open and ready, working with our city, our county, our chamber, and our economic development, Greater Paducah Economic Development, and of course our state. And sometimes people say we have a really funny name. I just want to say, yes, we do.
Paducah, Paducah, if you wanna, you can rhyme it with bazooka, but you can't poo-poo Paducah. That's another name for paradise.
That's exactly right. Another name for paradise, and that's where we're from, Paducah. There's a lot to do there. We stay really busy. We are a UNESCO creative city. Mostly, a lot of that is based on our quilt. We have the National Quilt Museum there, and a lot of things to see and do. And we're really happy. We're a fun city, and we're really proud of who we are. We have about $200 million in new capital projects underway right now. The middle picture is Chef Sarah Bradley. If you are a foodie, when you were there 2 years ago, you went to the Freight House. She's been the runner-up twice on a couple of food shows, and just this past weekend was on the Food Network and was runner-up on a national program there. So we're on the confluence of the Ohio and Tennessee River. We have river boats, about 70 that come through every year, and we have a new project, about a $25 million build grant to make that easier for them. But Quilt Week, we're missing it this week. We have about 30,000 people that have embarked on Paducah, and most of them are driving down one-way streets the wrong way. So we're kind of glad that we might be out of that, but we welcome them every year, and it's great to have that here. We have a brand new airport that is very close to our Department of Energy site, about a $42 million project we just finished. But most of all, I want to say we are nuclear ready for our state and our community, and we are totally embracing it. You heard State Senator Danny Carroll asking a question. He's been the leader in Kentucky for nuclear energy, and we appreciate it, and for our community as well. Several years ago, we lifted a nuclear moratorium that had been in place and had really been holding us back. That's gone. We have a new Kentucky Nuclear Energy Development Authority established. We do have incentives that are being offered now in our state. So, and all of our community organizations have passed resolutions to say that we're nuclear ready and we're ready for that nuclear renaissance. This is our site. It was a gaseous diffusion plant. Again, we're ready for it. With the grant, we did the roadmap to the future so that we're working on it. This was our timeline. It was awarded in 2023. We started the process then. We worked very hard all through 24 on several different areas, and then we'll be wrapping it up this year. But meanwhile, it hasn't stopped us from being open. These are a lot of our partners that are involved with us on this study, and I should also have included Energy Communities Alliance. Our involvement with ECA through the years has just really changed our future of how we look at everything. This is the site area in the study. These are really the 5 pillars that we've been working on. We had not been able to do land transfer, but we did put in our first request in last year. One of the comments that we've heard made with the new administration is the speed of ways that things are going now. It takes a long time for a land transfer. We put it in the formal request in May of 24. We're still waiting, but it's still underway and making progress. We were working on identifying utilities. Here we are. You guys know that, but really, we all need these, but they'll be found. If a project is coming, there's going to be a way to find the utilities that are needed. And who we are recruiting, a lot of different companies, just about anything we're open to talking to you about. We have announced Global Laser Enrichment, which is coming. They've acquired a greenfield property that is adjacent to the closed gaseous diffusion plant. They have a contract with the Department of Energy to re-enrich legacy depleted uranium tails that are stored on the site. So Global Laser Enrichment, we're excited. They've already been a good partner to our community. And as Dr. Goff mentioned about the 16 sites that have been identified now for potential data centers and new nuclear, we're thrilled to be in that mix. And I hope we win, but we're thrilled to be in the mix with all the rest of you. Many of you in this room are also in that. Workforce development was a big part of our study. We know we have the workers in our community that can fill these jobs because we've been filling them for the past 60, 70 years. And our community is very open. When you said how it had changed now for more people accepting of nuclear energy, I believe in our community the number would be much, much higher than that because we've shown that we can do that in our community, and we have a highly skilled, trained workforce. This is our local high school program that's offering for the trades. And then on the chamber side, we established our own leadership center within our chamber a couple of years ago and put all our leadership programs underneath it and then started offering a lot of training programs. So we're ready for that as well. This is our branding, Innovate West Kentucky. That's what you'll be hearing about. And really, just to wrap it up, we're ready to go. We know that we have the land. We're going to make it available. We'll get the utilities there some way with the help of our state, the help of the Department of Energy, and the help of those companies that are wanting to come. So thank you. We're ready.
Thanks, Sandra.
Gotta stay on time.
All right, Sean, you got to follow that.
Yeah, no kidding. That was thorough. Great job, Sandra. It's good to be with you all. I'm Sean O'Brien. I work for a subsidiary of the Tri-City Development Council, which is our economic development organization in Tri-Cities, Washington. My subsidiary is called the Energy Forward Alliance, which was created by a handful of community executives who came together over the last few years to find that each of them, whether from the national lab, our local utility, the local university, et cetera, now we're going through Sandra's slides again there. I messed that up. Sorry, Faith. Who came together to realize that we really need to make sure that as siloed efforts are taking place at each of those organizations, that we're all making sure that we're working together to row in the right direction, in the same direction, and laying out a vision for how we can embrace these opportunities in the clean energy space, and specifically building upon our legacy as a nuclear community and a community who really has been at the forefront of nuclear innovation. So EFA is really the middleman between all of these entities, and something that we would love to see in the future is for sister communities, other communities across the country to follow suit, to whether it's like us, house that entity within our economic development entity, or perhaps if you're a single city, unlike us with our quad cities, right, Mayor Gary?
5 cities. Oh, Sean.
We find that we are all so eager and we all have so many initiatives, but we all want to make sure that we're not talking past each other. And that's exactly where my organization comes in to help make sure that we are all communicating together. So as Sandra mentioned, there have been several of these new nuclear forums now. We were proud to host the last just a year ago in Tri-Cities with all of you. And something that I'd love to give some credit to the ECA team on is, years ago, in a former life, I was a congressional staffer working in the cleanup space specifically, and speaking at one of the cleanup workshops in DC, I asked the audience, how many of you was this your first time to a cleanup workshop? And not many hands were raised, and I think there's quite often that tendency, no matter what field we're coming from, is to just talk with one another and talk with the same faces. And might I just say, the last few years, ECA has done a phenomenal job bringing in new voices, new entities, new communities, and that's what I'm seeing a lot with this audience. So forgive me if some of this is a little bit too 101 for some of you who are used to the ECA community discussions, but I know that we have a lot of new faces. So I thought what I'd do for just our case study a bit is to tell you a lot about a timeline of what's gone on in this last year since we saw you in May. That conference was held just on the heels of the conclusion of our legislative session last year, and during which we had a really paradigm-shifting investment made by the state legislature of Washington in Energy Northwest's advanced reactor project. And some states we in Washington State are a little jealous of because of the overt pro-nuclear stance that your states may have. But for ours, it's taking a little more work to try and make sure that we're pulling along some of our friends on the west side of the state, those Seattle suburbs, and our capital in Olympia. And so to have that investment made by the state in a new nuclear project was really just game-changing for us, not just in those dollars, but more of anything what they represented. And we've got folks from the Energy Northwest team here with us today. Since that investment, and this won't be news to just about anyone, Energy Northwest has made some even far grander announcements. So last October, as most of you are aware, they announced an incredible partnership with Amazon and X-Energy in moving forward on their XC100 project. And I think a theme that we're all going to be hearing and should be hearing over these next few days is that critical, and we've already heard about this morning, that critical role, that X factor that the technology sector is going to be playing in the deployment of new nuclear. And that's where we're on the front lines of that. Because of the strong relationship that Energy Northwest has built with their partners at Amazon, we're walking the talk when it comes to the opportunities to pair new nuclear deployment with the advanced needs of AI and data center growth. And so, as a lot of companies have been talking about that general space of power purchase agreements and things like that, we're really proud of the investment and partnership that Amazon has made, because it's so much more than that. Not only did that October announcement include a partnership with this specific project in our community, but it also included a direct investment in the technology, in X Energy's technology on behalf of Amazon. And so we see this as a really game-changing opportunity to embrace the opportunities that are coming with this partnership. With, again, that X factor that comes, we're going to talk so much about cost over these next few days. To have the pockets of a major player like Amazon partnered with us is truly, truly exciting, and we think is going to be on the front lines of embracing these opportunities. Along those lines, just tacking through what has been an incredible year of announcements in our backyard on the clean energy and new nuclear space specifically. Our friends at Framatome have also been selected by the Department of Energy, as Director Goff pointed out, for some of those folks who are leading on the advancement of HALEU. In December, Atkins Realis was named the owner's engineer for the Energy Northwest project. They also recently were announced as the key manager of the Pacific Northwest Hydrogen Hub. Something that we're really embracing to build upon our roots and legacy of a nuclear community is the opportunities to find symbiotic relationships with other industrial and manufacturing uses, as well as other energy generation. So as some of you are aware of, Energy Northwest location out on and adjacent to the Hanford site, which is just north of Pacific Northwest National Lab, Framatome, Washington State University Tri-Cities. We have this hub of interests in North Richland that are all working together to embrace these opportunities for a symbiotic relationship. So several years ago, about a decade ago, the Department of Energy transferred back, and talking about the difficulty of how long transfer takes, we know it firsthand. They transferred back 1,600 acres of the Hanford site to the local community, where we're now deploying this vision of a symbiotic relationship with both deploying new energy generation, but also serving on the front lines of advanced manufacturing as well. In January, we had a really exciting development in the nuclear fuel space, where we're looking at recruiting a key startup who will be, our hope, bringing a $3 to $4 billion nuclear fuels manufacturing facility. And a key piece that I think we'll get into in our discussion is when we talk about the interests of local communities and that key X factor of the support that local communities provide when it comes to the recruitment of these projects, that's something that can't be measured. You think about a site selector who visits various communities across the country looking to deploy. They've got their checklist. And something like community support is one that's not necessarily able to be quantified in black and white on paper. We had over 75 folks turn out for a City of Richland proceeding just to move forward in the option agreement for a purchase and sale of some land in that 1,600 acres for this nuclear fuels manufacturer. Overwhelming support amongst those folks were from the labor community. And so not only did we have traditional big business and those of us in the chambers of commerce sphere, but we also had the folks who were actually on the front lines of deploying that work, who were saying, yes, we want this here in our backyard. So I could tick off a laundry list of other announcements. Maybe we'll get into it in the discussion, but I'll just pause there to say, we have a long legacy in the Tri-Cities of support. Not only do we see ourselves as ready, we also see ourselves as we've been doing this, and we want to continue to embrace these opportunities to continue to build on that and bring along the future of advanced nuclear. So glad to be here.
Thanks, John. Brian?
Okay, let me see if I can get to where this, I might need technical assistance. Is this this one? Yes. This one here? Oh,
There you go.
hey, looks like we're there. So I'm Brian Muir. I'm the City of Kemmer Administrator, and I can relate to Paducah because Kemmerer is kind of how it's not pronounced. Actually, we have a silent er at the end. So actually, some of you might know the song "Pretty Woman." You know that song? Okay. Just imagine this. I wrote a song, but I'm not going to sing it right now. I changed the words to "Pretty Woman." I said, "Terra Power coming down the line. Terra Power, yeah, we think you're fine. I can't believe you're nuclear. Why don't you come to Kemmerer?" So anyway, imagine that. That was a song that I wrote, and I was one of the things when we got nuclear in our community. We were competing with 3 other Wyoming communities who had potential coal-fired power plants retiring. And by the way, ours is retiring on the schedule of the IRP for Rocky Mountain Power 2025 December this year. So, and then it's going to be converted to natural gas is the plan. But one of the things that they told us that one of the reasons they chose us, obviously we have a lot of water, we had transmission capacity and all of that, but they appreciated the community's enthusiasm for bringing in nuclear to our community. So I think enthusiasm, so I can relate to all the enthusiasm here, and you got to embrace nuclear in the Renaissance. So I just wanted to make a shout out as well to Mayor Casper of Idaho Falls. Idaho Falls is my hometown, so I grew up in this community here, nuclear community. My wife and I, Michelle, drove down last night from Kemmer, and it's a 3-hour drive in case you want to come check it out and come shop in our downtown. You can see our downtown is coming along. And so, yeah, we actually did, when we first got the nuclear plant, we entertained Gary Hogeveen of Rocky Mountain Power, CEO at the time, and then also Chris Levesque of Terra Power, and gave them a presentation with all of our community stakeholders and had them at our event center. We only have 2,500 people in our community, and we have a big event center, as Rita Meyer knows here, with lots of nice whistles and bells. For the size of community it was very visionary for them to build I think it was a $3 million at the time, 10, 15 years ago, event center. But that's where we hosted this delegation that came to choose whether they're going to go with us or not. And but we also did a community survey, and there was overwhelming support for nuclear, and we're excited, very excited. Right now we're in the face, just to give you context, we just recently, because of the decline in the coal-fired power demand for coal, they just had layoffs for 28 people in the coal mine industry. That's our biggest employer right now, over 200 jobs in that, but 28 of them are gone. Probably half of those commute from other places, but it's a detrimental, devastating thing for these families and individuals, and we are really blessed and excited that we have the opportunity now to have nuclear in our community, and we're grateful for that. And one thing to set the tone for Wyoming is very much open for business as well to nuclear. I was just talking before I came in here to former Representative Burkhart, who helped legislation. It's House Bill 131 that pretty much says, hey, we're open for business for nuclear. We want you to come here. And so we're excited to be a part of this nuclear renaissance. And it's actually happening. Just the sodium test and fill facility, which is kind of a bonus that came to us, they already started excavating last summer. We got a excavation going on right now. They're getting ready to pour down a pad on that. And so, it could even have some walls going up this summer. That's one area. And that means that, Bill Gates has said that there's going to be tens of these is what he said in an interview with Face the Nation. But there's going to be tens of these nuclear plants from TerraPower coming, and so we are going to be the hub in our minds for the test and fill facility to test the equipment that's going into the reactors. And then we're also going to have another good fortune of ours is to be having a training center, which is going to be excavated and starting to be built this summer as well. We're going to have probably 100 to 150 workers this summer, and so we're very excited. They're also going to start excavating, as I understand it, on the nuclear reactor itself. One thing in Wyoming that we do as well, we have an industrial siting council based on our legislation that allows communities that are impacted by nuclear to receive impact funding, and TerraPower was very generous, and we were able to, the city of Kemmer was able to get, over the next 5 years, $4.5 million to help us with the impact with police and public works kinds of things for our roads. And so I think Wyoming is very open and innovative, I think, and flexible, and they move fast on these things. And I think that's something you want to think about for your communities and your states as well. So one thing, too, this has been a dramatic change in our economy. In the downtown, you can see some pictures here. Back in, I think, 2022 is when it was announced that we were going to be chosen. But since then, there's been private investment and local investment in our downtown. Our downtown, when I got there 6 years ago, was scary, I'll just say. It was not in a good place. But since the announcement, you can see some things that are going on here with the buildings there. But the Opera House store is an example. It was completely vacant when I got there. And it used to be a Chinese restaurant that went out of business. And Jessica Lozier, who's now the Chamber of Commerce president there, she invested and got investors to invest in that. We also provided a loan for them for one of the tools that we have in Wyoming economic development. The Opera House store downstairs is building sandwiches, and upstairs is your Airbnb type things going on. So that little store to the left there was just put in this week, and that's going to be a meta spa. That's right to the right of that is our theater in the downtown. And then the legal corporate services, that's one of 2 law firms that are locating in Kemmer downtown. They've already located, and so building inspection permits in the commercial area has gone up significantly because of the nuclear, and we're excited. I don't know if I have any more slides on here. So I think the main thing here is, be open for business, be proactive, and get people excited. But ours was the perfect storm for us. I mean, we've got a nuclear plant just in time, and it's going to take some time. I mean, these coal miners could get trained in other things, in security jobs, or they could, Wyoming, the university, not the University of Wyoming, but the Western Wyoming Community College has the Governor Gordon has put in $2 million for a degree in nuclear in the nuclear industry that's coming. So some of these folks can be trained as well. But I think that's going to be a challenge, though, because there's going to be an interim where we're going to have some stress, because people are going to continue to probably be laid off as the demand for coal in our particular area is going down because of the conversion to natural gas. But I think one other thing that they are working on right now is train the trainer kind of. People are being hired right now in Kemmer to work with the nuclear plant. So we are moving along, and we're excited. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. All right. Appreciate that. So a couple years ago, I went through Paducah, Kentucky, 3 different hardware stores to look for an open sign. Finally found one and brought it. Well, I've upgraded the open sign. Today, Oak Ridge is still open for business, and we will continue to be open for business. Just to give you an update, we've made the impossible possible in Oak Ridge, from the nuclear frontier to the nuclear future. Since the 1940s, Oak Ridge has succeeded in changing the world. It's important to note that the foundation for success that we're having now started years ago. With the DOE's decision to clean up and repurpose the former K-25 site, now known as Heritage Center, UCOR did a great job in getting the site cleaned up and ready for new development. We continue to be the leader for the new nuclear industry in the United States and are receiving even more interest from nuclear companies. I believe there is no better community in the country to be prepared to help America become energy dominant than Oak Ridge, Tennessee. America must be energy independent to meet the growing energy demands of our strong economy and for the national security. Oak Ridge has a legacy of working and delivering nuclear technology when the country needed it, the science and the power nuclear provides. Oak Ridge is a community that understands and respects nuclear energy. We are building a strong nuclear ecosystem in Oak Ridge. To give you an example of what's going on, we've been very busy. In 2024, we recruited the largest economic development project in the history of Tennessee, our Rhino Enrichment Facility, which will be over a $5 billion investment. Kairos Power's Hermes 1 project has received our NRC approval and is under construction. They're moving dirt. Hermes 2 has received the NRC approval, and Kairos has also partnered with Google. TRISO-X facility, which was announced a few years ago, is now moving dirt in the Horizon Center Industrial Park adjacent to Heritage Center and will be starting vertical construction soon. TRISO-X is partnering with Amazon. This is something most of us didn't think about a few short years ago in Salt Lake City at our first forum, partnering with high-tech companies. It's going to change the dynamics of what we do in new nuclear. Tennessee Valley Authority has the site now licensed by the NRC and is building the small modular reactor on the site in Oak Ridge. SMRs, everybody's going to want one, okay? It's not just for the electric grid. It's not just for base grid. Industrial processes, heat processes, propulsion, hydrogen processes, these are just to name a few of the non-electric nuclear applications that SMRs are going to provide. Type 1 Energy, also located at the former TVA Bull Run Steam Plant. This company is focusing on fusion development. It is a positive step towards industry diversification in Oak Ridge. Centrus Energy, long-established company doing centrifuge technology. Nano Nuclear purchased headquarters building in Oak Ridge for their micro reactor business. Along with Nano Nuclear, laser isotope separation technology has also co-located at the Nano headquarters, and the Laser Enrichment Company was one of the 6 companies funded for the next phase of development by DOE. Standard Nuclear, formerly known as UltraSafe, is continuing to operate at the Heritage Center site. Just last week, Governor Bill Lee announced BWX Technologies' plan to establish a centrifuge manufacturing facility to support the U.S. uranium enrichment capabilities and defense missions at a 97-acre site in Horizon Center next to TRISO-X. So as you can see, wow, that's a lot that's going on, and we couldn't have done it on our own. It takes many people working together to make this happen. Tennessee Governor Bill Lee has been a very strong supporter of new nuclear, both in the state and in Oak Ridge. In 2023, he announced a $60 million investment fund for recruiting companies. Governor Lee signed an executive order to create the Tennessee Nuclear Energy Advisory Council. And in 2025, Governor Lee pledged further support by almost $93 million for building of the new nuclear industry in Tennessee. Other strong advocates are, like Congressman Simpson said earlier, our U.S. Congressman Chuck Flashman, Anderson County Mayor Terry Frank. I think I saw Tracy Waddell. Yep, there's Tracy. He's a Anderson County Commissioner. He's back there. We've got our Roane County Executive Member, Wade Creswell, our City Manager, Randy Heeman, along with Mayor Warren Gooch and my fellow City Council members. It takes everybody involved from local to state to really get some of these projects up off the ground and going. It's one thing to announce them. It's another thing to see the dirt. We talked about it yesterday in our Ask the Expert session. How does tourism and nuclear come together? We got people actually going to the sites and standing around and looking at the overlooks to watch the dirt be moved. It's exciting, people. People want to know what's going on. It's the new technology, and people are looking for it. The city has also formed the Oak Ridge Corridor Development Corporation. It's a way for us to handle it at the local level, which is a regional partnership working to recruit new nuclear-related industries, chaired by Gerald Boyd and Mike Miguel, who's hired as our president. Our DOE reservations of Y-12 nuclear facilities and the Oak Ridge National Lab, along with well-integrated workforce development systems, starting as early as the middle school, starting to introduce middle schoolers in the nuclear industry, understanding, starting to get that, have those buzzwords available, working it up through the high school, to the vocational schools, to the community colleges, and on to the University of Tennessee. Over the last 3 years, the University of Tennessee has expanded their nuclear industry department, and there's 5 different degrees now that they're specializing in at the University of Tennessee. They continue to be a big supporter with the National Lab. So I can tell you, Oak Ridge is open for business. From the atomic age to new nuclear. That's the way we want to do it, and we're going to continue to work hard. On the back side of our little open for business map is the map of where all of our little companies are located across our city. As you can see, the DOE reservation is a big part of Oak Ridge as far as the city limits go in Oak Ridge. We have to work closely with them. Speaking of land transfers, it's something we work on almost every day. How can we crave out another bit of that land? Do you need it? We need it. Do you need it? Do you need it? So it goes back and forth, and we finally convinced them that, yes, we need it. If we can get it, we can bring businesses in to support it. So thank you. So the further the discussion from us touting our own horns and telling you how everything works, there's a lot of new people in this industry. There's a lot of new communities. Like Congressman Simpson said earlier today, you know, if you build the F-35 and you put 420 of the congressional districts involved, it's kind of hard to do away with it. Well, new nuclear has that same opportunity. If we build it across America, it's not just in DOE sites, but we build it across America, we have an advantage of it going forward, being prosperous. It has the next ability to be the next wave of things to happen. So how do you do that? How do you make that go forward? How do you take it from the incubation stage around the DOE facilities that we've had and been able to establish? How do you take it to the next level? Well, you've got to diversify. It's not just about whether you're going to build an SMR or a micro modular reactor in your community. Maybe it's the supply chain. It's one advocate of the supply chain. Maybe it's composite materials, advanced materials that these SMRs are going to need. There's all types of technology that are happening. Your particular community across the country may specialize in piping, in electrical, in computer chips. Whatever may be needed, you may have an avenue for that may be something along the way during the supply chain. So that's one of the things that we have to, as ECA and new nuclear goes and continues to grow, we're going to have to continue to advance and prosper that information across the communities. So some of the questions and some of the things that were brought up for our particular session here, 2 of them really stood out, and I wanted to just get your feedback and maybe if you've experienced it in your own area and maybe give some insight into what's happening. But one of them was, what advice do you have for communities without a history of nuclear power if they want to attract nuclear projects to the region? Would any 3 of you like to weigh in on that? Don't be shy.
I'll start with a few things that I feel about is communication with your community is very important. I think you have to educate them to give them the assurance that everything's going to be okay, that this is a great way. I was just going to say, if you all haven't read Secretary Wright's opening comments to the department at the very beginning of his term coming in, you should do that. They're very inspiring, and I think they help you understand better the need for energy. And when you put it to that way about our country has got to have more energy and how these are the ways to go and educate them, it helps to do that. And hearing that they brought up the points, I think that's a big part of it because we're all talking about it now more than we used to. And it's very important that the leadership in your community embrace this and be very positive about it and taking a leadership role.
Thank you, Cindy. Sean or Brian?
I would just point out the critical importance of being open and transparent in these things. With the long legacy that we have in our community of being a nuclear region, we know that what's most important is making sure that we're not at all ever trying to come across as if we're hoodwinking folks or anything like that. I think embracing the opportunities that are coming with this new advanced era is something that should be seen as a benefit for all of us and not something that we need to try and hide in any way. So I think openly and positively embracing the benefits that are coming with this is a key factor.
Obviously, in our situation, the ground was already prepared because if you imagine a city of 2,500 people, actually another 500 in Diamondville, our sister city, 3,000 people, most of the jobs coming from coal or coal-fired power, you imagine the ground was already ready if the plants are going to be retired. So I think there was a lot of anxiety. You've got to be able to address some of the anxieties through the change. I think we did have public meetings as well to talk about and have conversations and listen to people. I think that was important. Also, I think you need to make sure you connect the jobs, and everybody, it's the economy, right? Everybody's concerned about the economy and the jobs, so you've got to connect them, continue to communicate, okay, we're gonna have 250 nuclear power jobs, permanent jobs to help replace some of these lost coal and coal-fired power jobs. And so connecting those two together, I think, gets people to embrace it a little bit more.
Okay, thank you. So, in the same sense, it's one thing because like with Sean and a little bit with Sandra, with the gaseous diffusion plant of Paducah, we have the history of being with DOE. We have the relationship of working with DOE within our community, of them, sometimes for decades along the pathway. We have emphasized over the last 20, 30 years the importance of cleanup. And when cleanup is done, it's amazing what that does to our communities to unleash things to happen. So what I would do when you're talking to communities around the country, find out what their niche is. What is their strong advocate? What's the niche in that community? How can that apply to new nuclear? And then go after it. Get your community acceptance. And, you don't have to build the whole ship. Sometimes you just got to build part of the ship. So, it's just find your niche and work forward. So another question here, and this goes back and Sean, if you'll start with this, what role does nuclear history play in the acceptance of these projects in your community?
Yeah, we often talk about our past, present, and future, right? And painting that vision makes it a lot easier for folks to understand where we're coming from and where it is that we're wanting to go. It's by acknowledging our legacy and our history, we're able to better advance the forward-looking vision that we're trying to achieve. So for us, it's critical. It's inherent to where we are, and frankly, it's also in so many ways just a huge asset. It's because of our incredibly skilled and large workforce. We're proud to stand against any other of our competimates on stage here and tout that strong workforce that we have because of that legacy of our past. And, whether it's And we had a great overview from Dr. Goff this morning about a lot of the federal initiatives. You know, from the last administration on their Clean Up to Clean Energy initiative to the new RFI on the deployment of data centers, we think that all of these pieces are critical for when it comes to that storytelling of where we're coming from and where we're wanting to go. And we're, as a community, embracing all of those. And so I think it's because of our past that we're able to really help continue to lead on the forefront for the rest of the country. And that leadership role that we're so proud of is something that we want to make sure that we're continuing to embrace.
Sandra?
You know, the plant, when it was operating at its heyday, was in a city within its city. And, you know, people knew that if you had a job there, you had a good job. And a lot of kids have been educated in college because of their parents having those good jobs. And a lot of trucks bought, and a lot of cars and boats because they had the stability of this really good job. And I think that workforce is continuing. And I think that message has to continue from now and to help you to embrace it. When you have your United Steelworkers, your union president, willing to talk about this as the future of the site and the future for your community, it just brings a lot of additional credence to what you're trying to say and the message that you're trying to deliver.
Brian?
I would just say some of the misinformation about nuclear history is something that needs to be addressed. That was initially, I got a lot of questions about that when the announcement was made. You heard the three, the Fukushima, the 3 Mile Island, and the Chernobyl. Just being able to respond to accurate information about nuclear history and about misperceptions of the safety of it, being able to communicate that with the right, accurate narrative in a comforting way, I think is helpful. And education, as was mentioned. I would say the one other thing, I did appreciate the data center idea because data centers is obviously, well, do we even need this energy? Well, obviously data centers are going to considerably increase the demand. And so connecting, okay, we could get a data center in Kemmer as well. We could get a second nuclear plant as well. That's going to help again with jobs and giving people comfort for these multi-generational energy families that are many of them are already in a kind of a crisis potentially. So they need to be comforted with education that is accurate. The media tends to over-exaggerate certain things, and so does social media. Social media is a big deal in a small community like ours. You've got to have the ability to address those things. I also would say, dovetailing, another thing about safety is the uranium, right? And that's one of the opportunities Wyoming has, as well as to connect the supply chain, as you mentioned, to more jobs. And we're excited, and we realize to get to HALEU uranium, it takes probably a decade to get from the beginning to the end. But we're hoping in Wyoming as well to have those kinds of jobs and to educate people on the safety of how to store it, and in the future of how it's now even better than it ever has been based on this conference. I've gone to the last 2 conferences and learned, I've been comforted by a lot of the education that's been technically shared with, so doing that some more.
All right, so I'm getting the rope on the other end of town, the hook over here to say, okay, wrap it up. So thank you all very much. Talk to us throughout the conference. Have questions, come and see us. We want to share our story. We'll let you know what's going on. If you have questions, and if we can't answer it, we'll put you in touch with the experts that maybe can help you on that. So that's the way to help us. Thank you all very much for the progress report. And remember, you can't do business if you're not open for business. Thank you.